What's going on, A to Z Sports? Sam Phelan here live with another edition of Titans at 2, coming at you live from St. Thomas Sports Park in Nashville, Tennessee, the Tennessee Titans practice facility. And we just wrapped up Friday practice and an interview with Titans head coach Mike Vrabel ahead of the team's Monday Night Football game against the Miami Dolphins. And really the subject of today's show, because I have to be honest, it was a rather tame week of Titans stuff. Nothing too spicy, about as spicy as you can really get with a 4-8 football team. But today I'm going to come and drop some knowledge about the Kyle Phillips situation with the Tennessee Titans that I think has a lot of Titans fans perplexed and a little bit confused. So as you guys are filing in here, just know that today we are going to diagnose why the Tennessee Titans are not letting Kyle Phillips play and what I expect to see out of Kyle Phillips both this week and for the remainder of the year. It's some interesting stuff. And before we do that, a reminder to everybody that today's edition of Titans at 2 and every Titans at 2 show is brought to you by Doughbird Pizza and Rotisserie, where you're sure to find flavor. Doughbird brings you a crave-worthy menu with an unexpected yet perfect duo of pizza and rotisserie chicken. Wild that they go together, but they do, and it's perfection at Doughbird. Offbeat flavor combos made even more delicious when you dunk your food in the house-made sauces. They always deliver on flavor and satisfaction at Doughbird, located in Green Hills area of Nashville. So go and visit my friends at Doughbird, and you will not be disappointed. Thank you to Doughbird for powering Titans at 2. Let's talk about this Kyle Phillips Titans situation. The second-year wide receiver, a very weird season. He had the knee injury early on that kept him out for a big chunk of the year. He went on IR. And I think Titans fans had started to give up on Kyle Phillips, right? And rightfully so. There was a skill set that myself, other media people, we have all seen pop during practice. And Titans fans have seen it on occasion. You look at the first game of Kyle Phillips' career. I hate to keep bringing it up, but the first game of his career against the New York Giants, he goes off, has 6 catches, 66 yards. I know you're like, oh, go off. It was his rookie debut, his first game, and he already has instant rapport with Ryan Tannehill. Now he ends up hurting his shoulder, ruins his rookie year. Titans fans, after the second injury this season, really started to be out on Kyle Phillips. And I think over the last few weeks, he had started to win his way back into their hearts, right? He kept fumbling punts and not being effective on offense. And you kind of rolled your eyes at the thought of him. But when Will Levis took over at quarterback for the Titans, him and Kyle Phillips appeared to be two players that connected immediately. They had some big performances in back-to-back weeks against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday Night Football and against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa on the road. Phillips had over 60 receiving yards. He wasn't their number one receiver at all. Like DeAndre Hopkins still held that crown, but Kyle Phillips was very valuable and impactful to this Titans offense, especially on third down, especially when you look at a guy who's got some good short area quickness, ability to separate, bail you out on third down, a skill set that not a lot of Titans wide receivers have. And so I think many people were surprised heading into this past Sunday's game against the Indianapolis Colts, to see inactives come out for the Tennessee Titans. And Kyle Phillips is inactive. And as Billy Jones says, he's finally healthy, and they keep him out. And there's hey, what's up with that? Now, Treylon Burks was active on Sunday. Treylon Burks played 10 offensive snaps. Colton Dowell was active on Sunday. Colton Dowell did not play offense and was only on special teams. The Titans very clearly wanted Colton Dowell to cover punts and make tackles more than they wanted Kyle Phillips on their offense. I think a lot of Titans fans question that, but Colton Dowell's good play on special teams, like he has been making plays on special teams, I think there's a case to be made that was a very good choice for Tennessee. I disagree with the logic of playing Treylon Burks for 10 offensive snaps to get – Mike Vrabel was asked about it, right? Like, why Treylon if you knew he was limited versus Kyle Phillips, who you knew would be impactful offensively. And Mike Vrabel said, well, we really wanted to get Treylon, get the ball rolling, get him some in-game opportunities. But I think a lot of Titans fans are like, okay, I don't care about getting the ball rolling. I want to score points. Billy says here, like, you have to score points to win. Titan Fox says, based on recent performance, I want Phillips on the roster this upcoming season. But if they aren't going to play him, what's the point? And I think there is something to that, right? What is Kyle Phillips doing if he's not active on game day and he's not a part of your offense when you have only 3 wide receivers on game day? DeAndre Hopkins, Chris Moore, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine that are offensive contributors. And we all know that Chris Moore and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine are, well, they're fine for what they are, right? But they're not wide receiver 2 and 3 on a good offense. So why did they keep him out? I got a chance to talk to Mike Vrabel about it. I got to talk to wide receiver coach Rob Moore about it. I got to talk to offensive coordinator Tim Kelly about it. And possibly the best interview of them all, I talked to Kyle Phillips about it in the locker room this week and got to the bottom of what the heck is going on, why the Titans aren't letting him play. Before I show you guys what Kyle Phillips had to say, I want to remind everybody to, number one, like the show. Please like the show. We don't have enough likes on the show. We hardly have any likes on the show. So if you're joining me right now, go ahead, just hit the thumbs up button. Let's get more people in here. I'm about to drop some knowledge on everybody. So like the show, please, and thank you. And a reminder to everybody as well about my friends at Dobert Pizza and Rotisserie who are making this show happen. I mentioned all the ways that Dobert has the perfect duo of pizza and rotisserie chicken. But they've also got cocktails and happy hours and a great bar setting. They got happy hour Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. So 9 minutes after I wrap up here on Titans at 2, maybe head over to Dobert, get Friday night going a little bit early at Dobert happy hour, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Deal starting at $5. A whole rotisserie chicken and 2 sides available for $40 as well when you dine in. So you can eat and drink very affordably, maybe a little date night here on a Friday night. Head to Green Hills. They share a parking lot with the Shake Shack in Green Hills, easy parking. And whatever the occasion is, go head over to Dobert and they will not disappoint. And then again, Titan Fox, he's with it. Like the show, man. Like the show. People haven't liked the show since I gave them a reminder. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's all I'm going to say is I gave you a reminder and you still didn't like the show. Come on now. But I did get a chance to talk to Kyle Phillips and Rob Moore. And I will say both Mike Vrabel and Tim Kelly were very close to the vest, on brand, right, for each one of them when it came to why Kyle Phillips wasn't playing. It was like, oh, yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, the different matchups and certain things. We really wanted to get Treylon involved. And Mike Vrabel loves to say, well, I can only have 48 guys. I can only have 48 guys. Well, why isn't Kyle Phillips one of those 48? This is a really interesting interview with Kyle Phillips from the locker room earlier this week.
It seemed like you and Will had kind of gotten on the same page, in terms of, being where he wants you to be. How's that been coming along?
It's been great. We're still able to get these reps in practice. So, I may not be up at the moment, but if my number is called, we're still in the same place, still have some good chemistry and can make some plays.
Did they tell you anything that you could do better to get more of those opportunities? And is it frustrating for you, I guess, to have some big games that you feel like you're being productive to then have opportunity taken away?
Yeah, it's always frustrating, when you're not active, not playing, so, you want to compete, you want to help this team win. But in the same sense, I understand. It's all about numbers and the value you bring. Currently, I'm not adding any value on special teams, only going in certain packages. So it makes sense, and it's just something for me to work on going forward on how I can add more value to this team and what other roles I can step into.
You're still practicing pretty much every day, though, on the return team as well, right?
Yeah, definitely working at that every day, trying to get better at it, and if they need me back there, I'll be ready to go.
What is that value that you're looking to bring? I think a lot of people would look at, multiple 60-yard receiving games and say there's a lot of value there. So, I mean...
Yeah, that's a small part of it is pass game. You got to be able to help in the run game. big thing is also being able to contribute on special teams, which I'm not really able to do. And, I've got a couple nice passes, but it's not really all on me. There's certain guys that maybe cleared routes out that were able to get me open, scheme plays that were able to get me open. So it's not all just, what I've done. It's a lot of those plays were able to happen because of great scheme was called, and then my teammates helped me get open.
So that is Tennessee Titans wide receiver Kyle Phillips. And Devin says, nope, it doesn't make any sense. Thanks for being nice about it. I will say he was very nice about it. I thought it was a really good interview from Kyle Phillips' perspective. A guy who didn't shy away from the tough questions, was, I think, a good teammate, and, asking him about his own receiving production. And he's like, yeah, well, other guys cleared me out. Just a very good, humble interview from Kyle Phillips there. But some interesting stuff. And ultimately, this is what it comes down to, right? Kyle Phillips told you what it was. He doesn't contribute on special teams. That's number one. And that being like the Colton Dowell role of going down and making a tackle or even blocking on like kickoff or whatever. Kyle Phillips isn't big enough to contribute on special teams unless he is that punt returner or kick returner. And he hasn't been a reliable enough returner in the punt game and kick game to have the Titans trust him back there. I think most Titans fans would agree that they don't want to see Kyle Phillips returning punts anymore. And I know that because I've seen your guys' comments when he was back there and when it was problematic and when we were all on the same page that, hey, you have to make a change. So he's not a punt returner and he's not contributing on special teams at all. So now what does it come down to? It is a strictly offensive outlook for Kyle Phillips. And another thing that is a problem with his size that he did wear in that interview that he said himself, he has to find a way to contribute more in the running game. And so I take from that Kyle is aware of the fact that he needs to be a better run blocker, that the Titans have asked him to be a better run blocker. And as he also mentioned in that interview, he currently only plays offense in select packages, third downs. Like it has to be a very specific scenario for the Titans to feel like he has value being on the field. So as they go to cut down this roster, as they go to figure out who's going to be active on game day, they have opted for Treylon Burks and Colton Dowell. Colton Dowell for a special teams, Treylon Burks because they believe he can play more snaps and will play in more sequences and packages than Kyle Phillips would. I kind of tend to agree with Devin. I mean, I tend to think that this doesn't make a ton of sense. This is not my favorite approach from the Titans when it comes to Kyle Phillips. I think there's a lot of value in his role, and you don't have anybody else on the roster that fills that same position. I don't know how many more back-end DBs and back-end wide receivers and guys who like back-end linebackers just to go and like cover a kick or do special teams. Your special teams suck anyway. Like, let's at least try and score some points here. Why do I care if Joe Jones is running down the field to make a tackle on kickoff team? Is the drop-off from Joe Jones to the next linebacker running down on kickoff going to be the difference in the football game? No. Is the difference in Kyle Phillips potentially being on the field for multiple third downs and having offensive output substantial? To me, yes. The Titans clearly don't feel that way. They clearly value some other things. I think where it's most frustrating for a guy like Kyle Phillips is that it's out of his control in a lot of ways. There's nothing more he currently can do. It's just how the chips fall with how their current roster is made up and the type of football that they're being forced to play. And yeah, Devin says, ask how many targets Burks had. Yeah, Treylon Burks did not have a target. He only played on, a handful of snaps. I think they believe the more he plays, like Rob Moore said in this interview that I'm about to play, that Treylon Burks maybe is going to look like old Treylon Burks, but hey, believe it when we see it, right? Here is Rob Moore about Kyle Phillips and Treylon Burks. So with Kyle being inactive last week and kind of needing to establish more value to the team to get active moving forward, what kind of things are you looking to see him do to earn that opportunity back?
Well, there's a lot of different variables that come into play. It depends on where we're light in certain positions. what kind of game it's going to be. It's a lot of Kyle just has to be Kyle. You know what I mean? And it's a numbers game sometimes from week to week, and it just so happened these last couple of weeks he hasn't been able to get beat up. But it's nothing that he hasn't done that's keeping him off the field. That's what you're asking.
How frustrating, I guess, could that be for a player when it feels like he hasn't done anything to get in the spot, and yet it's the spot that he's in, and you always want to play?
Right. I mean, I'd be disappointed if he wasn't frustrated. I think he's handled like a professional. He understands, how it works from week to week. He has a very good understanding of that. Of course, there's some frustration involved with that because he's a competitor and he wants to be out there on the field with his teammates. But, it's just kind of how it's played out the last several weeks.
You're happy with the, progress Traylon has made to kind of get back and where he can help you, and I guess that he get ramped up maybe even more.
I'm looking forward to him seeing him go out and compete on Monday night. I'm looking forward to that. So he had a good day out here today, running well. So I'm looking forward to seeing him out there.
Sounds like when he was
Titans wide receivers coach Rob Moore, who says he thinks Traylon could go compete Monday night, and he had a pretty good week, but, believe it when we see it. I think all Titans fans and media are all in the same boat when it comes to Traylon Burks right now. Again, that speaks to the Kyle Phillips situation, which I think makes it even more frustrating for him and even more frustrating for Titans fans, because as Rob Moore says, there's nothing he's not doing resulting in him not being on the field. It's just kind of how the matchups and the numbers or whatever, how it shakes out. Well, Kyle Phillips hasn't been active. The Titans really have 3 wide receivers that are even remotely impactful on offense, one of them being DeAndre Hopkins, who is pretty much the top dog, and the rest of them are maybe good for 1 or 2 big catches a game in Nick Westbrook-Ikhine and Chris Moore, which is just fine, but you'd like to see a little bit more of Kyle Phillips out there, and Burks has had no results up to this point. So, yeah, I mean, that's the Kyle Phillips situation. If you want to know why, you don't have to agree with it, but if you want to know why the Titans won't play Kyle Phillips, it is a combination of size, of lack of special teams input, lack of run blocking, and what they feel like will best suit them for a given week. What do I think Kyle Phillips is going to do this week? He's going to be inactive. That is absolutely the vibe I got from speaking with Titans coaches and with Kyle Phillips in the locker room, that he does not expect to be active this week. He said, look, if they call my number, I'm ready. But hopefully I can work back to that point. But I don't believe he's part of this game plan right now for the Titans on offense for Monday Night Football. Want to remind everybody about the partner of today's Titans at 2 show, and that is Doughbird. I told you guys about happy hour. I told you about the food, but really Doughbird is here for any occasion. It doesn't have to be a night out at the bar. It can be a date night. It can be a family night out. You can grab the family on the fly takeout bundle to feed the family and takeout, because they're the go-to spot for to-go food in the neighborhood. It's convenient. It has a great ambiance. The food is spectacular, reasonable prices, free parking. It's all there at Doughbird. It's located in Green Hills. It's where you're sure to find flavor. So next time you're looking for, hey, babe, what's for dinner, right? Like, hey, what are we doing for food tonight? Maybe consider Doughbird. Go get takeout. Go dine there. Whatever it is, something for everybody and every occasion. Other updates from Titans head coach Mike Vrabel. We didn't get a list of who was in and who was out for Monday Night Football because today is Friday. Typically, the final injury report would come out 2 days before the game, so that will come out tomorrow. But Christian Fulton is going to be out. He didn't practice all week. We haven't seen him. That, I know what you guys are thinking. Oh, good. Thank goodness. Christian Fulton not playing. It's going to be a problem because as bad as Christian Fulton has been, there's a reason he's the guy that's getting the playing time and not the guys below him on the depth chart, because it can get worse. And with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, it just might be as bad as it's been for the Titans secondary all season. They're going to have a big problem trying to contain those two guys. That level of speed is not something that they have seen before. So that was an update from Mike Vrabel. I guess not from Mike Vrabel, but from the practice field with my two eyes. Josh Wiley, another name that was not out there and will likely be ruled out for Monday if I had to guess. And then no Derrick Henry today or yesterday, which is interesting. This is a situation to monitor because we did hear from Derrick Henry earlier in the week say he was never diagnosed with a concussion. Titans coaches have been very optimistic about him. He's been working out with the team as far as I know, but he has not practiced. So maybe just some caution from the Titans. I would still say Henry on track to play for Monday night. So I wouldn't panic just because he hasn't been on the practice field. And DeMarco wants to know what's up with Caleb Farley. Well, Caleb Farley is still not healthy. He has a back issue. So you're not going to see Caleb Farley this season. The spine thing is serious. And obviously a lot of stuff off the field with him as well. And as Karen says, Lord God, help us Monday night. Titans are going to need it. Tyreek Hill might be the most valuable player in football at wide receiver. They don't do well with guys who are difficult to tackle and can make plays after the catch. And yeah, it's Tyreek Hill against this secondary. So if you have him in your fantasy lineups, start him. If you're playing against him in your fantasy lineups, I'm sorry, but it might be a very long night in South Beach for Tennessee. That's all I've got for you guys. Hey, keep it locked in on A2ZSports.com. I've got A2ZSports.com. I've got big stuff coming this weekend. A huge article from the MLB winter meetings about the potential of Major League Baseball coming to Nashville. That's coming this weekend. And then some really good Titans content as well about maybe some silver linings from this season, reasons Titans fans can still be excited despite a 4-8 record. And then, just later this afternoon, Buck Rising is coming out with some inside reporting on the Titans front office and hierarchy. So there's a lot of really good stuff coming. Keep it glued to A2ZSports.com. Like the show before you go. And we will see you guys on Tuesday afternoon, reacting to a game on Monday Night Football. Thanks for tuning in to Titans at 2. Till next time, tighten up. We'll see.